So what I want to say though is everything we're seeing right now is crazily a blessing in disguise. I know it sounds crazy to hear me say that, but as you grow despair, remember, light clears darkness. Light disinfects. The more we see, the more we learn about our government and our systems. The more collectivist energy rises up as a reaction. And sometimes we have to also understand these systems always existed. They were never gone. They didn't just appear under Donald Trump. It's just Donald Trump's leadership amplified this negative energy in our government. Okay. And he abused his power at such a level that's bent the arc of our democracy and institutions. All right. He's only amplified what already existed. Now, I'm not saying that he had no negative effect on the government. He absolutely did. I'm not saying that if we didn't elect Trump, we would have never found this ourselves and this would have continued. And no, I'm saying it always existed. I'm not saying it doesn't matter who's in there. It does matter. And I've tell people many times, yes, neither party is adequate leadership, but the what I've also learned is who gets elected, even based on who gets elected by each party, matters. And I didn't really think that before. I thought all Republicans were the same. And I think ideologically they are, but I don't think structurally they are. Like, I don't believe another Republican would have done what Trump did. And I know that sounds crazy for me to say that, because if you asked me 5 years ago, I would have told you they would have done exactly the same thing Trump did. And they agree with everything Trump is doing. Some things, yes. I've lived through Republican presidents. So, yes, there are certain things they would do similar, but not at the level Trump has done it. And I think that's why so much of the right liked him so much, because in their way, he was effective for their agenda. But I hate to say it, but the real person that was effective for your agenda was Mitch McConnell, and he's no longer in charge. But I know he was the establishment nobody liked. Get it? Nobody likes Mitch McConnell. We're all in agreement on that. But the thing is, I don't think every Republican would have operated like Trump. I think he was uniquely a narcissist. And it took a lot of times for him to run for me to figure that out, because I thought he's just a symptom of the bigger problem. No, he is a bigger problem of the symptom, not just a symptom of the problem. And he uses celebrity and larger than life character to steer things his direction. But he also comes from a different background. He don't come from politics. He comes from being a real estate mogul, a showman business guy, my way all the time, like a boss guy who calls his own shots, a celebrity, silver spoon born with a silver spoon in his mouth kind of guy. Okay? He's a narcissist who's basically the head of a mafia, and that's how he operates. It's completely different than a traditional Republican. And I know people think, oh, no, they're the same. They are and they're not. They are. The ideology is the same. I'm not disagreeing with you on that. The systems we always had did exist, though, and we need to acknowledge that also. We just learned more because of the amplification of it under Trump. Trump abused it. But it also broadens the discussion about what needs to be done after Trump. Okay? We need to restore law and order in our country. We need to restore democracy and justice. We need to restore accountability. We also need to abolish certain systems that are attacking people and human rights. Okay? So we discover that certain agencies in our government shouldn't even exist, because they're being used as mafia armies on behalf of the executive branch, and they shouldn't even be around. So, like ICE, it shouldn't exist. It shouldn't exist. If it's being used as the president's personal army, it shouldn't exist. We need to have laws passed that basically effectively make it where the attorney generals and the people in the judiciary and executive branch do not take orders directly from a president. They operate independently. There should be laws on the books to further enforce this. because this guy's abusing it. So we are learning how weak and fragile our system is too. Okay? Our democracies are not strong enough to hold. They have not been strong enough for a long time. They've been dismantled for years. Okay? So, light disinfects and clears out darkness. Light exposes what we've not seen for so long. Now we can see the problem. Now we can have a conversation in this country about how to change it. Then we can elect people that actually want to fix this problem. Okay. That's the silver lining under all this destruction we're watching right now. All right. And that's the only thing that's positive about this right now is the silver lining of what needs to change in this country and what to right the wrongs of and what to make just again and what to bring back accountability, because people now understand the role institutions serve in their life and how important they are and how important checks and balances are in our government and how important democracy is and our judiciary system and our due process rights as human beings. Okay? We are now learning how important those things are. I think many of us in America took for granted how good we've had it in this country. We stopped caring. Not only did we feel like the government wasn't serving our will anymore, we just stopped caring. We just become a bunch of consumer robots. We done what the empire wanted us to do. We consume, consume, consume. We don't look to our elected leadership to do anything to represent the American people or make civilization better. We don't expect anything out of our government anymore. We just whatever. And we took our rights and our individual freedoms for granted in this country for so long. And now we're realizing how important they are because the people in power are taking them away. All right. And we're learning that. We're realizing that. So the silver lining is people will come back to a more simplistic mindset of what government should do and want accountability back and really believe in the importance of their individual freedoms. Okay. And go back to the values of pushing for a representative democracy or a representative republic. Well, no matter how you view this, we are going to start expecting more out of our elected officials now. We are going to actually have value systems we care about that we never cared about before. And that's the silver lining of all this darkness that's being sanitized by the light. Because now we can broaden and narrow our discussion all at one time. And that's what we need. Broaden the discussion about policy proposals, but also and about a collectivist movement in this country. Okay, to push for a more perfect union. But also narrow our focus on the main things that need to be fixed before we get to that point. Because there's so much in the system that's been broken for so long. And the people in power have technically trampled all over it. And now we're learning what needs to change now. And that's the silver lining in all this going on. That is the true silver lining. So all I want to say to y'all is have a great day. Have a great night. See you later. Goodbye. And I'll show you this clip in a second here. All right. Bye.